Hello, and thank you for being here with us today. It is about 24 minutes past the hour, and we have some very important new updates to share regarding the mystery of what happened to a kind woman named Nancy Guthrie. A group of caring experts has just shared that pictures from all three of the safety cameras at her home have been found and looked at. Even though the people in charge of the search say they haven't found anything big yet, the people investigating are now looking much more closely at the special metal gate on her front door. Our lead reporter, Brian Enton, has been following this story from the very first day to help us understand what is going on. Brian, can you tell us why Nancy's front door is so important to this whole puzzle? It is very good news that they are making progress with the other cameras, isn't it? We have talked about how they already had the pictures from the front door camera, and now they have the pictures from the back camera too. But I want everyone to look at this very closely because it is something many people missed. There is a special safety door right in front of the actual front door. It is made of strong metal bars. Many people who live in that part of the country have these kinds of doors. It is a bit like a screen door you might have to keep bugs out, but this one is very strong with heavy bars. I am told that the experts are very interested in this gate. When you think about it and look at the video of the person in the mask at the door, you realize it would be very, very hard to break through that metal gate. This is leading some people who study these things to think that someone might have already been inside the house with Nancy. This person you see at the front door might have been a second person waiting for them to bring Nancy out. Of course, this is just the idea for now, but it is something important to think about. That safety gate was most likely locked, and it would be very loud and hard to break. This makes the mystery of how they got inside even bigger. In the story of Nancy Guthrie, the security gate might change everything we thought we knew. There was no sign that anyone kicked the door in or broke a window. Instead, there was only a small path of blood and a 41-minute gap of time that has left even the smartest investigators feeling confused. Tonight, we are looking at new clues that make us think this was not just a random act of kindness gone wrong. It looks like a plan that was made very carefully, and it might have started from inside the home. This is the sad and quiet mystery of Nancy Guthrie. Brian, that is a detail that many of us did not think about before. What are you hearing from the people who live next to Nancy about the agents who are searching the neighborhood? The agents have been back in the neighborhood for the last few days. I am told they are talking to the same neighbors who live right near Nancy's house, but this time they are asking new and different questions. They are focusing on some dates that we hadn't heard about until now. We already knew they wanted to see video from January 11th, but now they are also asking for video from the weekend before Nancy went missing. This is very interesting. It makes you wonder if they think the person was watching the house and the neighborhood for a while before they acted. They seem to be very interested in what happened on the weekends. This stands out to me because it makes me wonder, could this person have a regular job during the week? Maybe they only had time to watch the house when they were off work on Saturdays and Sundays. These are the kinds of thoughts the agents are sharing with the neighbors. For 47 days now, the quiet desert around Tucson, Arizona, has been holding a secret that has made the whole country feel worried. This is a story that feels like a scary dream for any family with an older parent they love. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She disappeared from her home in the hills in the middle of the night. She did not just wander away because she was confused. She did not get lost while taking a walk. The people in charge are now sure that someone took her. Brian, this is still so hard to hear. Have we heard anything new from her family? No, we haven't heard much lately. Her daughter, Savannah Guthrie, has not shared any more videos. She is back in her home in New York City now. She hasn't been back at her morning news job, but she also hasn't been seen in Arizona. Her other daughter, Annie, lives just a few miles away from where Nancy lived, but she hasn't said anything to the public lately either. The last time we saw the sisters together was a few weeks ago. They went to visit the house and spent some time at the beautiful memorial with flowers and notes that people have placed in front of the home. As the days turn into weeks, the way people are looking for Nancy is changing. We are no longer just looking at a fuzzy picture of a man in a mask on a porch. We are looking at a giant puzzle. This puzzle suggests that whoever did this was very good at planning and knew how to use tools. And the most upsetting part of all is the idea that they might have had help from someone who knew the house. Tonight, we start with a detail that changes how we see the whole story. It is something so simple you might not even notice it if you don't live in that part of the country. It is that heavy metal security gate. Nancy lived in a very nice home in a quiet neighborhood where people have worked hard their whole lives. Like many houses built in Arizona a long time ago, her front door was protected by that heavy metal gate. This isn't like a thin door for the wind. It is made of very strong iron and steel. When that gate is locked with its heavy bolt, it is almost impossible to get through unless you use big power tools or a heavy metal bar. It would also make a lot of noise. Neighbors who have the same kind of gate say you simply cannot kick them open. You can't just pick the lock in a few seconds. And yet, when the agents got to Nancy's home on the first day of February, that gate was perfect. There were no scratches from tools. The metal wasn't cut. The frame wasn't bent. This leads to a very sad thought shared by people who have spent their lives solving crimes. They think the man in the mask with the gun didn't have to break in. They think he was let in, or he was waiting for a friend who was already inside to bring Nancy out to him. This realization changes the story from a random crime to something that was planned very carefully. It suggests that someone was looking for Nancy specifically. It suggests that whoever did this knew her daily life, knew her house, and knew exactly how to get past the things meant to keep her safe. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to the very beginning. We have to look at what happened on her very last night at home. On Saturday, January 31st, Nancy did what she loved to do. She spent the evening with the people she loved. She took a car ride to her daughter Annie's house to have dinner and play some games. It was a normal, happy Saturday night for a grandmother. At 9:48 at night, Nancy's son-in-law, Tommaso, dropped her back off at her own home. Just 2 minutes later, at 9:50, the garage door closed. Nancy was home. She was safe inside her own walls. She got ready for bed just like she did every night. She took out her hearing aids. Without them, Nancy could not hear anything at all. She was completely deaf to the world around her. She put her phone on the table next to her bed, right beside the medicine she needed to stay healthy and alive. Then, the quiet hours of the night began. At 1:47 in the morning on Sunday, the first sign of trouble happened. Or really, it was something that stopped happening. The camera at the front door was turned off by hand. This wasn't just a mistake with the internet. Someone touched it and made it stop working. 25 minutes later, at 2:12 in the morning, the house felt someone moving. The sensors picked up movement, but there was no video because the camera had been turned off. Then, at 2:28 in the morning, we find the saddest clue of all. Nancy had a small machine called a pacemaker that helped her heart beat the right way. This little machine talked to an app on her phone using an invisible signal. At exactly 2:28 in the morning, that signal was broken. Experts say this usually only happens when the machine and the phone are moved far away from each other. Nancy was no longer in her bedroom. She was being moved away from her phone. She was gone. The search for her didn't even start for another 9 hours. Nancy didn't show up for her regular church service on Sunday morning. A friend from church felt worried and called her family at almost noon. When her family got to the house, they found her phone, her hearing aids, and her car. Everything was still there. But on the front porch and the driveway, they found small drops of blood. Tests later showed that the blood belonged to Nancy. The work to find her has been very big. Even Donald Trump has said that this is a terrible thing. He called Savannah Guthrie himself to say he was praying for them and to offer more help from the government. The people at the White House have been using their internet pages to ask everyone to help if they know anything. Under the lead of a man named Kash Patel, agents have been using the best technology in the world to solve this case. They worked with computer experts at Google for 10 days to find information that was hidden in that broken doorbell camera. What they found was very scary. They found pictures of a man wearing a mask and gloves. He was carrying a big backpack, the kind you might take on a long hike. He also had a gun on his hip. But this is where the story shows even more planning. There are reports that the internet in the whole neighborhood went out at the same time Nancy was taken. If this is true, it means the people who took her might have used a special tool to block all the signals in the air. This would explain why no other cameras nearby saw a car driving away. It shows that these people knew a lot more about technology than a normal criminal would. Investigators are now thinking that this might not have been the first time this man went to the house. They found clues that the same man might have been there weeks before to look around and plan. They are looking at 3 specific Saturdays in January and February. This makes us ask, why Nancy? At first, people thought it was about money. Some notes were sent to news groups asking for a lot of money, even using digital money that is hard to track. One note asked for $6 million. Savannah Guthrie even made a video saying the family would pay whatever was needed to get her mother back. But those notes never proved that Nancy was okay. Some of them were just tricks. One man in California was even arrested because he was trying to take money by pretending to have information while the family was hurting. If it wasn't just for money, was it because of who Nancy is? Was she picked because her daughter is a very famous person who tells the news to the whole country? The agents found that someone had used a computer to search for how much money Savannah makes and where Nancy lived. This brings the search to a very hard place. If this was done by experts who had inside information, who could have told them? A man named Sheriff Chris Nanos has said very clearly that Nancy's family had nothing to do with this. He said those rumors are mean and not true, but that still leaves a lot of other people who knew the house. Nancy lived there for 50 years. She was a very kind and trusting woman who always welcomed people in. Now the agents are looking at people who came to fix things at the house, people who helped clean, and even people who lived nearby. Some experts think that someone who knew Nancy might have accidentally said the wrong thing to the wrong person. Maybe they mentioned that a wealthy older woman lived all by herself, that she couldn't hear at night without her hearing aids, and that she always followed the same routine every day. Or, as the perfect condition of the metal gate suggests, maybe someone had a key. The work being done right now to find clues is very intense. The agents are making models of shoe prints. They found footprints near the house and are making 3D copies to see if they match the shoes of anyone they are worried about. They are also looking for a person with a special drawing or tattoo on their arm. They even told people to look out for anyone who was trying to get a tattoo removed right after Nancy disappeared. They are even looking at the shapes of the person's eyes in the video. Even though the video is a little blurry, experts are trying to measure the space between the eyes to find out who it might be. As it has now been more than 40 days, the people living in those quiet hills are very scared. Sheriff Nanos was asked if he thinks the person could do this again, and he said yes. He believes Nancy was chosen for a reason, but he doesn't know why yet. Because of that, neighbors are putting up more cameras and changing their locks. They are not just worried about themselves anymore. They are all looking for Nancy. There is now a lot of money being offered to anyone who can help find her. The Guthrie family has offered $1 million. The government has added $100,000 more. With other gifts, the total reward is now over $1 million. Large signs with Nancy's face are up on roads in many states like Texas, Nevada, and California. The agents are looking across the whole country because they know she could have been taken a long way in the hours after her heart helper signal stopped. But while the machines and the money are important, the most important part is the love people have for Nancy. Savannah Guthrie has stopped doing her job on TV and even missed the big winter sports games to focus all her heart on finding her mom. The family has also given a lot of money to help other families who are looking for their own missing loved ones. When we look at old videos of Nancy, we see her teaching her daughter how to make a bed, with a big smile and a heart full of life. We all hope she comes home soon.